and we are following cable. We hear machinery running in the background. That can only mean one thing. We're about to pull something over. That's right, a couple of somethings. We have 2 trees that we need to take out. So I'm gonna roll this into the RD-6 rebuild series. There's a few more frequently asked questions that this would be the perfect opportunity to answer. Plus we can remember what one of those is like when it runs and makes sounds and pulls and all that. So to set the backstory, well, senior's digging. In the background here, we finally removed that old yellow shed that used to be right here. That's what the new shed there and the other new shed there replaced. So now that that little yellow shed is out and we've got much better access to that side door where the shop is, we need to take 2 trees out. So first one we're going to take down is over here. It's an old maple, and he is finding some mighty big tree roots. Wow. The reason we need to take this one out, it's starting to die on the top. There's some dangerous branches, but we've got, there go a couple more roots. We've got a lot of rot going on in here. It's all hollow. Squirrels have been running in and out, and it hollows out down here. So that part of it is liable to break off and go straight toward the garage soon. So we rigged the cable. He's gonna dig at the bottom. I'll get the RD-6 started up and we'll hook it to the other end of the cable, and we'll pull this one down and get it out. After this one is down, we also need to take out this birch right here because it leans also quite a bit toward that front corner of the garage. And this was a tree that we carelessly let grow up right next to that old yellow shed. The foundation was right there, but it started providing us such nice working shade we left it. But now that the shed is out, we need to get this one out as well. We don't like that lean. So I'm gonna go work on getting the wide RD-6 running while he digs that. Hopefully everything starts and everything works and everything cooperates today. So while we wait for the RD-6 to warm up enough to start, we can get to the first of the RD-6 FAQs for this episode. And once again, Nick Bement with a good question asks, is there a reason why Cat used pony motors on their diesel engines versus doing a diesel engine that could be started on gas like International made? Now, IH's design had certain advantages as well as other certain drawbacks, but so did Caterpillar's. So in my opinion, I really can't place one above the other. They both accomplished the same task. They used an easier to ignite fuel, being gasoline, to aid in starting a large diesel engine. So in a sense, you had to keep a gasoline engine running as well as a diesel engine running with both setups. That's why, to me, they're pretty much a wash. The main advantage that the IH gas start diesels had over the Caterpillar setups was that once you got those started on gasoline, the engine was actively, directly heating itself from the inside out. So it didn't take it quite as long to get up to temp enough to throw the diesel to it and do the switch over. Whereas the Caterpillar starting engines were more of an indirect heating system. You would get that separate starting engine running, and then it would slowly start to warm the coolant that was circulating through the diesel engine. It would also lend some of the radiant heat from its exhaust pipe to be drawn into the diesel engine cylinders to join in with the heat that was generated by cranking under full compression. But it did take the Caterpillars a bit longer to get that diesel engine warmed sufficiently to take off on the diesel fuel. Probably the biggest drawback now to the IH gas start diesels was the complicated cylinder head design that made it all possible. It was a big piece of cast iron that was so riddled with chambers and passages and openings and valves that it was like a block of Swiss cheese, and if you did not operate those engines properly, mainly cool them down sufficiently before shutting them off, they would crack the cylinder heads. Now, in my opinion, that was mostly due to operator negligence over poor design. If the operator knew how to run those engines properly and followed the procedures, they gave excellent service life. Similarly, the Caterpillar starting engines had a weak and rather problematic pinion sleeve with centrifugal latch mechanism that, once again, if not operated properly or not kept in proper adjustment, liked to destroy itself. Both systems gained a rather negative reputation, whereas in my opinion it was not so much due to poor design as, once again, just plain operator error. But in the end, Caterpillar chose to go with the independent gasoline starting engine system for two main reasons. The first being, it simplified the diesel engine. They wanted their diesel engines to only have to worry about being a diesel engine. The second main reason, if something happened to the starting engine, it went down or had a problem, the diesel engine was unaffected. You could still operate the machine. Whereas most of the IH gasoline start diesels, if something happened with the gasoline side, most times it took the diesel engine side down as well, and the machine was out of service. That's why Caterpillar decided they'd rather go with the pony motor.
Got a hole here, not quite big enough for a basement, but a little bit of dirt to fill in yet. Pretty good sized root ball. Virtually right where we wanted it to go.
Now the next RD-6 FAQ, and this was the most frequently asked question over the last couple of episodes. What kind of weights are we talking here with these tractors? What did they weigh when they were new? How much did stovepipe weigh with that big blade on it? How much did the engine weigh when you hauled it? The chassis weigh when you hauled it? On and on. So going to the Caterpillar literature, of course, they made these RD-6 tractors in two different gauges, a narrow 56-inch and a wide 74-inch. So shipping weight, leaving the factory, narrow gauge RD-6, 15,210 pounds. Wide gauge RD-6, 15,820, because there's a little bit more iron involved in getting those tracks out wider. And you look at stovepipe with that heavy LaPlante choke dozer blade, that tractor would have been pushing, I would say, in excess of 18,000 pounds fully equipped in dozing form. Now, I had chewed old stovepipe down to the 12 to 13,000 pound range with all the gear that I took off of it right before I split it to haul it in two pieces. And a lot of people were asking, how much do you think just the engine weighed? Well, in my Caterpillar literature, they list a fan to flywheel engine configuration for that D6600 three-cylinder diesel engine. And in that configuration, there is no radiator, just a flywheel on the back. Otherwise, it's a ready-to-run engine, and the shipping weight on that was 3,260 pounds. Okay, there's a lot of iron involved in these old Caterpillars. And considering I had already taken the starting engine and the water pump and the manifolds off of Stovepipe's engine, I'm saying we were still looking at 2,500 pounds just engine weight sitting on the skid. That then put Stovepipe's stripped down chassis right around the 10,000 pound mark for dead weight. That's why the chassis comprised the first trailer load, and then I came back after the engine and I threw the Kubota on the back. The Kubota weighs about 6,000 pounds with the loader and the backhoe, so even though the second load took up almost all of the trailer space, it was actually lighter than that first load consisting of just the chassis. Well, we got this first one pretty much limbed. We don't have any of the trunk chopped up for firewood yet, but Senior's been working on the second one. So the goal here is just to keep this one off of the corner of the garage. It kind of has that lean where naturally it would want to right down there. So that's why we've got the cable strung here and the D6 is down there, RD6. So yeah, we're gonna be pulling it this way. So he's just cutting the last few roots. We're going to leave some holding stuff on each side as well as the front to kind of help guide it. And when I fire up the diesel this time, I'm pretty much only going to fill the float bowl on the carburetor. These are so big for the size of these starting engines, it takes them a long time to run out of gas. So we're just going to open it up enough to fill it. This is where you don't know if you should give it some choke or not. I'll start off with some choke, just to be sure. Set our spark advance here. Give it just a minute to fill up. I think let's see, still see a little bit of movement in the sediment bowl. There it looks like we've filled. All right. We'll just shut this tap off now. The final RD-6 FAQ, and this was a good one, all right? So Neck542 says, "Hey Toby, watching you methodically remove weight from old stovepipe to move her or him, I'm thinking him, got me thinking. In the 1930s, how did they get these tractors from the dealership to the farm, construction site, or wherever was needed? Transportation of heavy equipment is challenging." Well, they did have plenty of trucks and trailers back in the day capable of hauling an RD-6 sized machine and bigger. They also used trains extensively, flat cars. And a lot of these tractors were offloaded at the train station and driven most of the way to where they were intended to be used, if there were no other convenient means. But I want to show you all this old photograph here. It's black and white. This is a very ingenious gentleman, and this had to have been 1930s or early 1940s, going by just the layout of everything. This looks like a 2H series D6, which is basically an RD6 just after they dropped the R. And this guy made his own self-propelled trailer that used the tractor for the power to propel the trailer. It's just ingenious. OSHA would probably outlaw this thing if they saw it now. But yeah, he looks plenty proud of himself. He should be. He found a way to put his tractor on this running gear and make the tractor power the trailer. Or is it a truck now? Hard to say. But the tractor provided the power and basically carted itself right down the road. He's got a steering wheel and I'm guessing brakes. I don't know that I would have wanted to take it very fast down the road, but it looks like it worked. So, you know, where there's a will, there's always a way. Very interesting old picture, though. Pieces like that one he just cut off at the end will be firewood. Right here. All the rest of these, will be saw logs for the mill. There's the birch stump. And there goes the maple stump. And there it is, everybody. We finally cleaned this little area up. This is how we've wanted it for quite a few years. So all we need to do now is wait for some rain to settle all this freshly disturbed dirt. We'll haul some topsoil in, seed it down, and we'll be done with that area. So we had some fun today. Took my Torque Monster for a walk. Got a few things done, improved the property, and I hope you all enjoyed the episode. What's more, I hope to see you all back for the next one. Thanks again, everybody.